10 moments, 1 betrayal, and by the end of this, you're gonna understand why the most dangerous group in America lost its best writer before it ever lost a step.
I went to get them out, but there was no bail.
You know the version you were handed. Cube got greedy. Cube got Hollywood. Cube walked out on his brothers at the exact moment the world started paying attention. That's the version the industry was comfortable with.
From a copper, drop a dime, I break you off something proper.
But the real reason he walked fits on a single sheet of paper, and nobody in that room would let him read it.
This is an arrest. We socked a pig in the head for ripping his guest. Now G is...
Number 10. The song he wrote for somebody else. The record that made Eazy-E a star wasn't Eazy's song. It wasn't even written for him.
Slapping the hoes. Went to the park to get the scoop. Knuckleheads out.
Rewind to 1987. Ruthless is barely a label. It's an idea with an address. Eazy's got the capital and the instincts. Dre's got the boards. And a teenager from South Central named O'Shea Jackson has the pen.
Don't quote me, boy, cause I ain't said shit.
Eazy handed the Ruthless writing team, Dre, with Arabian Prince and Ice Cube, the job of drafting a song to match his vision. It got pitched to a New York group called HBO. They passed on it, so Eazy decided to rap it himself. Boys in the Hood came out in March of 1987, and it moved through Southern California like a rumor.
Pulled over an undercover cop in a dark green Nova. Cat got beat.
Now here's what gets me. On those first Ruthless 12 inches, Cube only actually appeared on the mic on Dope Man, but he was credited as sole lyricist on 3 of those tracks.
I pointed my weapon. Just as I thought, the fools kept stepping.
The voice everybody fell in love with belonged to one man, the words belonged to another one, and if you were buying 12 inches out somebody's trunk in '87, you weren't checking writing credits. Nobody was. It knocked. So who cares who wrote it, right? The label cared, because writing credits aren't trivia, they're money. Publishing is money, and the man whose name is on the front of the record is the man the checks get made out to. There's another wrinkle here most people miss. Cube wasn't even from Compton. He was South Central. He was writing a city he didn't live in, for a man who did. And he was doing it so convincingly that 30-odd years later, the whole world still thinks the geography was his. That's how good the pen was. Good enough to disappear inside somebody else's voice completely.
In the hood are always hard. You come talking that trash, we'll pull your cart.
And here's what sets up everything else in this video. Ruthless wasn't Cube's company. It was Eazy's company, built with a manager named Jerry Heller. Cube wasn't a partner. He wasn't even signed yet. He was a kid with a notebook and a ride to the studio. You can be the entire reason something exists and still be a guest in it. That's not the betrayal yet. That's just the shape of the room everything else happens in.
Camino rolling Kilo G. He rolled down his window and he started to say.
Number 9, the kid who left for drafting school, the greatest writer in gangsta rap, almost quit before the first album ever came out, over a drafting diploma.
For the pop chart. So where should a brother like you start expressing yourself, my
Fall of '87. N.W.A. finishes a tour opening for Salt and Peppa, and Cube tells the crew he's going to college. At that point, all they'd put out was the Panic Zone 12-inch. He said the rap game wasn't looking solid enough to bet on, so he went to school instead. Architectural drafting and design at Arizona's Phoenix Institute of Technology.
the summer, winter, spring, and autumn. It's Dre on the mic, getting physical, doing the job.
Think about what that decision tells you about the era. The man who'd already written their biggest record looked at the rap business in 1987 and decided drafting blueprints was the safer bet.
In a predicate, add it on a dope beat, and it'll make you think. Some suckers just
He wasn't wrong to think that either. There was no blueprint for a rapper getting rich yet, not out west. The successful ones were in New York, and even they were mostly getting robbed.
back new jacks are made hollow. Expressing ain't the subject because they like to follow the word.
But he never actually stopped writing. Before he came back in September of 1988, he'd written 2 new songs for Eazy's solo debut, Eazy Does It, Dorm Room in Phoenix, drafting tools on the desk, and he's writing verses for another man's solo album, mailing his best material back to a company he owns no piece of.
Ray J's in the neighborhood, and he's up to no good. When I start expressing myself, yell slam it.
That's not somebody who fell off. That's somebody who's all the way in, even when he's out. He gets his 1-year degree, comes home, and goes straight to work on both Straight Outta Compton and Easy Does It, released in August and September of 1988. 2 albums, a matter of months, and American music never sounded the same again.
Getting back to the PG, that's program, and it's easy. Dre is.
But here's what should have been handled during that year he was gone: paper. Cube has said flat out that they weren't signed at first and that the label waited until really late in the game before it started trying to get them signed. The most notorious group in the country, 2 albums deep, federal attention on the way, and the contracts are still sitting in somebody's drawer as a to-do item. 12 months. That's how long the label had to protect that kid on paper while he was 300 miles away, still writing for free. You can be essential and unprotected at the exact same time. Most people find that out the way he did, after the money's already been counted by somebody else.
I won't hesitate to diss 1 or 2 before I'm through, so don't try to sing this song drop.
Number 8. A label that was never theirs. N.W.A. wasn't a company. It was a name on somebody else's company. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Here's the structure, and this is the part the movie skates right past. Heller helped launch Ruthless Records with Eazy-E and managed N.W.A. through Straight Outta Compton. And he wasn't some kid off the block. Before Ruthless, he'd booked Elton John, Van Morrison, Marvin Gaye, Pink Floyd. A 40-something industry veteran walking into a room full of guys barely out of high school. 2 decades of contract experience on one side of the table. On the other side, nobody who'd ever read one. Then Priority Records, started by 2 former K-Tel executives, Brian Turner and Mark Cerami, partnered up with Ruthless to put the albums out. So follow the chain with me, slow. The manager is also the label owner's business partner. The label owner is also a member of the group, and the other 4 artists are sitting on the opposite side of that arrangement, unrepresented. Now, who does the manager work for? I'm gonna be fair here, because this is where a lot of people lose the plot and just make Heller a cartoon. Heller denied cheating anybody. He called that allegation the most ridiculous thing he'd ever heard. He pointed out that artists routinely get album royalties long after the fact, and a record executive who'd worked with Ruthless backed him up, saying it takes a long time, and most artists never recoup it all. And honestly, that's a real defense, not a dodge. Plenty of you have watched a royalty statement crawl in 18 months late from a label that wasn't stealing a dime, but a slow check and a structure with no daylight in it are 2 completely different problems. One is an accounting delay. The other is a room where not one single person in it is working only for you. This one gets argued in every barbershop that's ever had a Compton flag on the wall, and I'm not convinced there's a clean answer. Number 7, half the album, none of the ledger, 3 million records sold. His total take at that point was $32,700.
Keep ya dancing with a crime record like Charles Manson. AK-40.
And this isn't legend. These numbers ran in Spin magazine in April of 1990, while the wound was still open. Straight Outta Compton and Easy Does It had each moved over 1.5 million units. No radio, no MTV, no major label promotion machine behind either one. Word of mouth and public fear did all the marketing for free. By July of '89, Straight Outta Compton became the first gangsta rap album to go platinum. First one ever, a genre-defining moment for the entire country. And the man who wrote or co-wrote roughly half the raps across those 2 albums had earned about $32,000 off of it.
Fuck with me. The police are gonna have to come and get me off your ass.
Then there's the detail that never leaves me. Cube was still living with his parents in South Central, doing dishes, taking out the trash, platinum in the streets, chore chart at home, and Heller didn't even dispute that part. He acknowledged Cube wasn't living like a rap star. He just argued the delay between sales and payouts is normal, and noted that Cube went on to make millions off that album in the decades since, which is true, and also completely beside the point when you're 20 years old and the men managing your career have houses you can't afford to visit.
It's a brother that'll smother your mother and make your sister think I love her.
Cube's lawyer at the time, Michael Ashburn, said the statements they were shown reflected $32,700 advanced, that Cube was owed at least another $120,000, and that he hadn't seen a single cent of publishing royalties. Publishing, for the writer, nothing.
Motherfucker like that, with a gat that's pointed at your ass. So
That's the one that should stop you. Everything else you can argue about, advances, recoupment, accounting cycles. Publishing belongs to whoever wrote the words. That's the most protected money in music, and it wasn't reaching him.
in the front row, I'ma call you a bitch or a dirty ass hoe. You probably get mad.
If you've ever built the thing, named the thing, carried the thing on your back, and then had somebody explain to you very calmly, very patiently, why the numbers just work out to almost nothing for you, you already know what was sitting in that man's chest that year.
Time going out for the punk motherfuckers that's showing out. Niggas want the mumble.
Number 6, the tour that told him the truth. 1980, $650,000. That's what the tour brought in. He went home with 23.
The ghetto don't think so. Now I'm creeping through the floor, running like a demon.
Summer 1989, the Straight Outta Compton tour. Real arenas now. Kemper Arena in Kansas City in June. Squad cars in the parking lots. City's trying to kill the show before the lights even went up. They were the most feared act in America, and the tickets moved like it. That tour grossed $650,000. Heller took $130,000 of it. Ice Cube went home with $23,000.
Running for my life, I hate to lose.
Now here's the moment the whole thing turns. Cube asked about the money coming off the N.W.A. merchandise being sold on that tour. He was told it was none of his business. None of his business. His name on the shirt, his face on the shirt, his verses in the building the shirt got sold in. And that's the answer he gets.
Not good, 'cause I'm first with my hands on a hot hood. Get jacked by the you know who.
Anybody who's ever worked a tour knows merch is where the actual money lives. Tickets pay the promoter, merch pays the artist. That's the table nobody wants you looking under, and he'd just been told to stop looking.
On the B-O-L-I-C-E, and anybody else that disagrees, running home.
He came off that run, a tour that was ending in near riots city to city, and went back to his parents' house, back to his childhood bedroom, back to the dishes. That's when the fog lifted, not because somebody handed him a document, because the arithmetic finally stood all the way up and looked him in the face. $23,000 for a national tour for the man who wrote the title track. It was Pat Charbonnet, N.W.A.'s own publicist, who'd later become his manager, who told him to make sure he looked at his paperwork. She told him she had a lawyer he could talk to, somebody inside the operation, telling him to check the books on the people paying her. Now, was that loyalty, or was that somebody who had her own read on where this was heading and positioned herself accordingly? Depends entirely on who you ask, and I'll let you land on that one yourself.
You're almost there, but the FBI has a little message for you.
Number 5, the letter from the FBI. The federal government wrote a letter about one song, and the man who wrote that song was the one getting paid the least in the building.
Out to the street top, black police showing out for the white cop. Ice Cube will.
On August 1st, 1989, Milt Allerich of the FBI sent a letter to Priority Records, the company distributing Straight Outta Compton,
Is a majority of gang. It's with whoever I'm stepping. And a motherfucking.
saying the record encouraged violence against law enforcement. He didn't name a song in the letter. He later confirmed he meant F the police. He cited 78 officers killed in the line of duty in 1988 and called records like theirs degrading to them.
Motherfucking ass on the floor. And I get to do shit, man. Just shut the fuck up.
So whose pen is on that record? The songwriting credits read O'Shea Jackson, Lorenzo Patterson, Tracy Curry, Cube, Ren, the DOC.
And then me and Lorenzo rolling in a benzo. Beat the police out of.
Now watch what that pen cost the actual bodies in the group. Police departments started faxing each other, urging cities to cancel N.W.A. shows. Dates got jeopardized or shut down in Detroit, Washington, D.C., Chattanooga, Milwaukee, and Tyler, Texas.
So they mace me to blind me. But that shit don't work, I just laugh.
In Detroit, they were told not to perform it. Cube kicked it off anyway. Officers moved on the stage. The group got walked back to their hotel, and they were arrested later that night after coming down to the lobby.
Put your hands where I see 'em. What the fuck did I do, man? What did I do? Just shut the fuck up and get it.
Real handcuffs, real cities, real risk. Every single night of that run, somebody in a uniform was deciding whether that show happened.
Every nigga is selling narcotics. You rather see me in the pink.
And here's the turn that still sits crooked with me. That FBI letter was the single best thing that ever happened to their marketing. Priority sent it straight out to the press, and it lit a fire under the entire story. Heller himself later wrote that it was really one angry bureaucrat overstating his authority, and that he cleared sensitive documents out of the ruthless offices in case of a raid.
Got badge and a gun in your hand. But take off the gun so you can see what's up.
The words came from Cube. The danger landed on all 5 of them. The controversy converted directly into record sales, and those sales landed on a ledger with somebody else's name at the top of it. That's not a business dispute anymore. That's a young man slowly realizing he's the fuel, not the driver.
Nigga got it bad 'cause I'm brown, and not the other color, so police think they have the.
Number 4, the question you weren't supposed to ask. He never demanded more money. He asked to read what he was signing. That's it. That's the whole crime.
Any fucking way. So you better duck away, run and hide out.
Charbonnet had already planted it. Look at your paperwork, and I've got a lawyer if you want to talk to him. So Cube quietly gets a lawyer, but he doesn't walk in swinging with it. He didn't tell Heller he had an attorney. He said, "My mama want to see my contract before I signed it."
We got him afraid of the funky shit. We like the crowd, so pump up the sound.
Man, there is something so young and so sharp about that at the same time. 20 years old, trying to buy himself one honest look at his own deal without turning it into a war, using his mother as cover because he already understands that the second he says the word lawyer out loud, the temperature in that room changes permanently. He kept the ask simple. He couldn't sign what he hadn't read. He was trying to get it to his people, and it just wasn't happening. Think about how ordinary that request is. Anywhere else in America, that's a Tuesday afternoon. You don't sign a car note without reading it. You don't sign a lease without reading it. Your cousin won't co-sign a phone plan without reading it. But in that business, in that year, a young black artist asking to have counsel look at his own contract got treated like an act of war.
Well, I'm shooting, let's see who dropped the police.
Ashburn's account of the negotiation was that they tried hard to settle it, that they bent over backwards for terms both sides could live with, and that what surprised him most was the indifference coming back at them. He said Cube would have stayed in N.W.A. if reasonable financial demands had been met. He wanted to stay. Let that one land all the way, because it rewrites the whole legend. The man everybody called a traitor was trying to find a number that let him stay. And if you've ever been told a lawyer would just complicate things by a boss, a partner, a friend, somebody smiling while they slid a pen across the table toward you, you already know exactly which part of your stomach that hits. Number 3, 4 signatures and 1 empty line. Here's the detail most people have never heard. That contract wasn't just for Cube. It went to all 5 of them.
I gotta get paid in a hurry. See, I gotta have it if I'm not.
Every member got the same long-term ruthless deal, terms nearly unchanged, with a $75,000 signing bonus attached. Only Cube refused to sign it. 4 men signed, 1 didn't. And I need you to understand what that actually means, because this is what the title is really about. The betrayal wasn't one manager in one office. It was a room.
False niggas, end up as toss niggas. And that's on the real, cause I'm a nigga.
Because if the deal was fine, then Cube's just the difficult one, the complainer, the guy who couldn't be happy. But if the deal wasn't fine, then 4 of his brothers looked at those same pages, saw those same terms, and decided their signature was worth more than the argument. Same paper, same room, same day.
And a black CD, yo, humping some funky shit by the DOC.
Now, Heller told it completely differently. In his own account, the other members voted Cube out because he kept complaining about compensation. 2 versions, identical ending. He's outside the group.
Yo, always making sure that my shit is steady pumping. A nigga.
And here's the thing, whichever version you believe, both of them require the exact same fact to be true. Nobody in that room stood up next to him.
The fiend was sitting in a cell where the crime was too tragic and couldn't make bail.
Not one man said, hold on, let's all get this looked at. Not one man said, if he's got questions, I've got questions. 4 professionals in the most confrontational group in America, and on the one day confrontation would have actually paid, the room went quiet.
Lawn, I seen the patrol on creep, so we got ghosts before they beat me and ran.
If you've ever been the one person in a meeting who said the quiet thing out loud, and then watched everybody you walked in there with suddenly find something fascinating on the table in front of them, you know that silence. You can hear it right now, and you know it's louder than anything anybody actually said. That's a different kind of betrayal. It's not somebody stabbing you, it's everybody quietly deciding not to catch you.
I see a fucking softy, bump strong as coffee. A nigga like that best.
Number 2, the Veto and the Benedict Arnold records. Even after all of that, Cube still wanted Dre to produce his solo album, and he got told no by the people he'd just walked away from. Cube has said he tried to keep the business separate from the personal. Things with Eazy were shaky. He had nothing left for Heller, but he wanted to hold it together with Dre. He wanted Dre on his solo record. They were actually talking about it. Eazy and Heller shut it down. That's not protecting a business. That's making sure the man who left can't land. So he got on a plane instead. He recorded in New York, at Green Street in Manhattan, January through March of 1990, with Public Enemy's Bomb Squad handling production. West Coast kid in an East Coast building, with everybody waiting to see if he could survive without Dre's drums under him.
So when I come to your town, don't crowd me.
America's Most Wanted came out May 16th, 1990, number 19 on the Billboard 200, platinum on June 23rd of that same year, number 6 on the R&B hip-hop chart, with no lead single and no video. No video, no radio, platinum inside of 6 weeks.
With my crew. Yo, Chuck, man, I don't understand this, man. Yo, you got this mother.
And if that album was in your rotation that summer, you remember the specific relief of it. You remember arguing with somebody who swore he was finished without Dre. Then the shots started.
The show and prove and use your groove, cause suckers can't fade the cue.
In August 1990, N.W.A. put out the 100 Miles and Runnin' EP, and 2 tracks kicked the feud wide open. Dre counts the group down on the title track. 5 became 4 because the 5th couldn't handle it. On another cut, they compare Cube to Benedict Arnold.
But right about now.
And Ren claims the only reason people bought Cube's record was that they thought it was N.W.A. Traitor. That's the frame they chose. Then it stopped being about records at all.
So you think you're protected? Well, you are till you put a funky beat on a record.
D. Barnes, hosting Pump It Up, interviewed N.W.A. for that EP, and producers sent her to get Cube's rebuttal. Against her warning, the November 1990 episode spliced the clips together to sharpen the conflict. In January, at a ruthless party in Hollywood, Dre assaulted her. She filed charges and a multi-million-dollar suit. He settled out of court. A contract dispute between 5 men put a woman who signed nothing in the middle of it. That's what happens when a business problem gets sold to the public as a loyalty problem. Number 1, the room, the check, and the door. Here it is, the actual moment. It took maybe 90 seconds, and it changed the entire West Coast.
Producing, calling me on the spot. You Benedict, Eazy-E, so yeah.
They're out on the road. Heller puts the contract in front of him. Cube says the same thing he's been saying for weeks. Let my people look at it first. And Heller's answer is, we've got $75,000 for you, Cube.
Bills. Now they got the villain with a purse and high heels. So don't believe what Ren said.
75,000, dangled like a gift to the man who wrote half of 2 platinum albums. Cube pushes back. Wasn't that his money either way? The record was already out, already sold. So how is it a bonus?
From a tree with no Vaseline. Just a match and a little bit of gas.
And the answer he gets is the coldest line in this whole story. He couldn't have it unless he signed, because Eazy said don't give it to him unless he signs. Not the manager, not the man in the suit everybody points at. His man, the one he wrote Boys in the Hood for, back when nobody knew either of their names. So he stood up and walked out of the room. By December of 1989, he was gone. That's the betrayal in the title. Not a stolen check, a withheld one, used as a leash by the person he trusted most. And you know what he did with it.
Cause you let a juke break up my crew. House nigga got running hot.
October 29, 1991. Death certificate. Number 2 on the Billboard 200. 105,000 copies in week 1. Platinum by December. Track 20 was No Vaseline, and he went at Eazy, Dre, Ren, Yella, and Heller all at once, and Priority put it on the B-side of Steady Mobbin', so nobody could miss it. N.W.A. never answered it.
That's why I went solo and kept on stomping. Well, y'all
But here's what should haunt everybody who ran the Traitor campaign. FL for Zaggin dropped in 1991, moved over 1 million in 2 weeks, and went to number 1. Their biggest chart moment ever, after their best writer walked, and it saved nothing.
real quick and easy dick. It smelling like MC weird shit. Try to tell
That same year, Dre was fighting his own royalty war and left Ruthless to start Death Row. Same complaint, same label, different man. 1 year later, Cube wasn't the problem. Cube was just early.
I never have dinner with the president. I never have dinner.